All right. I think we're live. What's up, everyone? Man, I'm super excited to get into this today. Let me know if you guys are hearing me, seeing me okay. As usual, we'll do the final checks, make sure we're good to go here. But it looks okay from my end. Check this out. Yeah, it looks okay to me. Right on, right on. Yes, I am super pumped. Yeah, you guys like the shirt? I make these available every once in a while. Let me just set up my windows here. All right. So thank you guys for being back here to join me again for Stream 3. We got started in the chat a little early already. We got some great takeaways already. I love this one. I don't pay attention much to numbers anymore. Man, that's a massive takeaway. That's a game changer for your mixes. What else do we got? A couple of you with similar takeaways like this. Like Samuel said, one of the biggest takeaways, tinkering with sounds for an eternity and always coming back to something similar. I just got to make decisions and move on. Amen, brother. So I recognize a lot of you guys, most of you guys who are hitting up the chat, actually, I recognize your names from the last two streams. So you guys are killer. Like, I really honor that commitment, the time and energy you're taking to go through this with me. Zane also shared about committing to sounds moving forward. That seems to be one of the biggest takeaways here. Also, just the amount of saturation and compression happening. Let's see. Mario said the ability to understand the thought process, why things are used, and see you applying in a way that solves actual problems. Music is not a recipe. Yes, this is. I love what you guys are saying because it's literally exactly what I hoped I would be getting across in these videos. These are great takeaways. Let's see what else we got. Right on. Wow, all right. Look at this, guys. Roll. Sorry for the pronunciation. This is my third night staying awake until 4 a.m. to watch the show. Yes, that is awesome. All right, Alexi saying he can't wait to watch the 3 parts in one sitting tomorrow. Man, you're gonna rewatch it again? You guys are awesome. The level of commitment is just incredible here. We've got a few more people jumping in, so I'm gonna get started in a couple minutes, but I can see the numbers ticking up, so I'm just gonna wait 1 or 2 more minutes for everyone to be here so we don't have people missing stuff. What's up, Chris? Is caught up on the replays and here for the live one this time. All right, you came to a good one, man. This is going to be special. Third night in a row. Awesome. Someone else from 4:30 a.m. Wow. This is great. Putting your sleep schedules whack for this. Man, you guys are awesome. I'm so glad I could do this for you guys. This has been a lot of fun this week. And despite streaming for a couple hours every night, 3 nights in a row, well, this is the third night, I feel full of energy for it. And that's because of the feedback that I'm getting from you guys. And I just feel like this is making an impact. So I'm super, super pumped. All right. So welcome, guys. Welcome again to part 3 of the live mix stream series this week, where we have said no this week to the little simple bite-sized tutorials, and instead we're going to full-blown apprentice-style training that goes way beyond the tips and the tricks and showing you how to actually start thinking and acting like a pro mixer, because only then can you take that next evolution in your work and start cranking out pro caliber mixes. Now, after parts 1 and 2 over the past 2 days, at this point we're about like 80% through this mix. So you've seen the mix prep process, you saw me mix the drums, the bass, the guitars. You saw the vocal processing. You've seen me jump back and forth between them as we got deeper yesterday. And if you're just joining us now, I do recommend catching up on those replays. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, you want to see all of this in order. I mean, you're still going to get a lot out of today if you haven't caught up on that yet, but afterwards, I definitely recommend checking out tomorrow or later tonight, depending on the time for you, to catch up on those parts. Because as you see the whole thing come together in real time, it's really where kind of the fireworks start going off in your brain. So today, in part 3, this is what I believe to be the secret sauce. All right, this is what to me really separates like the good from the great, and the mixers who are just not willing to go this extra mile and the ones who are. And it really shows in the quality of the mix. So you're going to see a heavy focus on automation. You're going to see me make the final tweaks to the mix. You're going to see when I take a break to go listen in the car and then come back with what I heard in the car and make revisions based on that, and then just finish up the mix and commit to it and say, okay, this is done. That's what we're doing tonight. And this is where you take, again, like I said, that this is where the magic happens. It's taking a good static mix, which is what we have now, and then turning it into an exciting, dynamic, impactful production. So what you've seen so far, and especially what you're about to see, this is a rare opportunity, guys. You know I don't live stream mixes all the time, all right? And prior to this week, only in my high-end premium courses have you been able to get this type of real-time training. But for many of you guys there, I know this is what you need right now, because the tutorials, the tips, maybe even college classes for you, they've only taken you so far. And then you hit a wall. It stops working. And no matter how many more hours of YouTube mixing videos you watch, you just don't make any more progress. And actually, you might eventually start going backwards because you start getting overwhelmed and feeling more and more confused and taking longer and longer to commit to things because there's just so much conflicting info in your head. And so it actually starts to work against you. And so that's why this week I've been combining the old school tried and true method of learning called mentorship or apprenticeship with the new technology we have today. And therefore, you can actually get the same benefit. Observing an entire creative process, start to finish, seeing the trial and error, seeing the problem solving, the thought process, being in the room with a pro mixer, but we're doing it virtually here. So you don't have to go and clean toilets for a year as an intern or upend your entire life just to get an opportunity to get in the room. And plus, as we discussed in the first stream, there aren't really any of those opportunities left. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. I've taught thousands of students over the past few years. Some of you guys are here today, and here's some proof that this stuff really works. This is Chris C. He said, just wanted to thank you so much for your classes. I've been getting more and more clients coming, wanting to work with me because of my work. I'm actually making a decent income on my dream, more than I thought I would this early. Incredible. Here's another one from Ryan. He said, this basically wrecked the internet and everything else kind of sucks by comparison. Love that comment there. Eric said he's read a lot of books on mixing, watched a ton of tutorials on the same subject, but my mixing courses are the only ones that actually made his product sound pro. And I wanted to share that with you because remember, I could care less how much impressive technical info someone could throw at you. Like someone could give you all the science, all the nerdy stuff in the world. At the end of the day, if it doesn't translate to you sitting down in front of your speakers and actually getting a better quality mix, something that sounds professional or close to a pro mix, then what's the point? It's totally wasted knowledge. Here's one from David H. He said he went to a big private college, tons of buck for not a lot of bang. However, this was different. His mixes were taken to the next level. In fact, as a result, I have made the decision to start a side business in recording and mixing. My $20,000 college diploma wasn't able to provide that level of confidence. Wow. Nick took one of my courses and then soon after ended up getting so much more demand for clients. He quit his job and went full-time in the studio. We've had a couple dozen people have that result now. And here's a real simple to the point one I love from Carl. He said, I just adopted J-Man's approach on mixing. My mixes were dull and lifeless. Now they rock. This stuff just works. So that's just some proof for you guys because, I'm telling you, this is how you need to learn. This is how you need to learn. Well, there's some examples of real people, and I've literally got hundreds more that I could share with you of real people who have gone through this type of training and made massive changes, not in just their quality of their mixes, but like that impacts your life because now you have options of getting clients, putting your music out there, and that snowballs and touches every other aspect of your life. All right, so we're going to get right back into the mix now. We're picking up where I left off, and we're going to start diving right in, adding automation. So just like yesterday, If you guys were here yesterday, you watched the replay with the chat. Some of you guys have already been dropping the bombs already. Again, as you're watching, if you have a big mind-blowing moment, if something blows your mind, if something is like a big aha moment or a big takeaway for you as you're watching, drop the bomb emoji. I don't have it queued up here, so someone drop it for me here so people can copy and paste it. But drop the mix bomb, the bomb emoji, there it is, and then write a little sentence about what it is that's really jumping out to you. All right? So I'll be watching for the mix bombs as we go here. So are you guys ready? Let's do it. I'm going to queue up part 3 of the mix. Here we go. All right, we're moving towards the final stages of the mix here. So we're going to start automating stuff, and I usually start with the drums and specifically with the overheads. So let's throw these all into latch mode, which means it's going to follow my fader moves. I can either use the mouse like so, but I am going to do the same thing using an actual physical fader on my control surface in front of me. I know you can't see that right now, but you'll see what's happening on the screen here. So as I go through the song now, I'm going to be automating stuff. I will talk about what I'm doing and why, but basically just watch what's happening, watch how the volume's changing, and really I'm just trying to emphasize parts and just have the whole balance, really be moving and breathing in a natural way throughout the song. So with overheads, my goal first is to just basically emphasize the crashes and just make sure the cymbals are in a good spot through the whole mix. I think you really can't just leave the fader static, even though this mix sounds pretty good right now. Once we get through the automation, you'll see how big a difference it makes. By the way, I'm listening pretty quiet now at this point. When I'm doing the automation, my final basically balancing of the faders throughout the song here, I want to make sure I'm mixing at a low level so everything can be heard even quietly. All right, let's jump into overheads here. Ride is a little bit hot here. So I don't like how this is like kind of dead in the middle here. Let's try to even that out with automation. see if we have that cymbal swell. Now, this is kind of killing the crash when the chorus comes in. At least for this last chorus, I'm going to leave that cymbal swell out. Let's see how that sounds.
Yeah,
I like that better. You can see how I've automated up a lot of the crashes. I've tried to make it more consistent in the courses. And, you know, if I had the overheads up at this higher level, like how I'm automating them up for the big crashes to increase the impact of those hits, if it was up at that level the whole song, the overheads would just be too prominent in the mix, would eat up too much of that high end space. So that's why it's so powerful to automate. And it's just making those crashes pop out more when they're supposed to. As I was listening there, I thought the hi-hat was panned a little bit too far out. Just being programmed drums, I don't want them to sound too separate, so I'm going to pan this in a little bit and see how that sounds. Okay, I think that's all right. So after overheads, I usually go to kick and snare and automate those. So let's get started with that. Again, I'm using my control surface here, and I'm trying to, you know, with the kick and the snare, I'm trying to basically mimic what a real drummer would do. So that means at the start of, you know, courses or downbeats, I'm gonna automate those up. I might not have to as much in this song because you can see we've already got the courses a lot harder than the verses, so we've kind of got that natural dynamic in there already. But I'll just listen through, and you basically see me as I hear stuff that's popping out or too quiet. I'll just, you know, automate it up or down. All right, let's give it a try here. So again, I'm using this kick fader, which is controlling both of these kick and kick sample tracks, maintaining the balance, turning them both up and down. And I kind of do the section by section of the snare at the same time. See how these hits are just too weak. It's not, I don't think the drummer would have played it like that. Just the way it's programmed, we'll try to fight that a bit. Let's bring the kick down a little bit where we have the floor tom going here. Forget what I said about kick and snare at the same time. I just feel it in the flow here. I'm just going with the kick for the whole song.
Carry me home. Carry me home. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. When the wind blows, I hope you know that you saved me from drowning. You carried me home. Carry me home.
Okay, I think that's sounding more consistent, more natural. So when we go to the snare here, we're going to automate the reverbs a little bit too. For instance, in the fast beats, I think we need to bring down the snare plate. And then in the courses, we'll bring it up a little bit more. And also kind of the ghost notes we want to bring out of the original snare track, since we have the sample a little more dominant now, the sample that I added. But we want to make sure the dynamics of the fills and everything stay more natural sounding with the original snare we had. That definitely has to pop, that first hit. So let's bring down our snare plate all the way up to this fill before the chorus. And on these fills, I'm going to change the balance of the snare that we have here that has the ghost notes or the more dynamics, and this sample snare that does not. Yeah, that's sounding a lot more natural. That's a little weak. Let's do our toms at the same time here.
You expect me to fall in line. You expect me to fall in line. You expect me to fall in line. You expect me to fall in line.
So I'm just making sure every hit of the fill can be heard.
You expect me to fall in line. Me to fall in line.
how much more natural that sounds? Just going the extra mile, the little extra effort to do stuff like this. Need a little more top end on this rack tom. I also want to bring up this little ghost note here. Yeah. Now I'm also going to bring up the ghost notes in between these hits here that really add to the vibe, I think. Okay, let's try to add some more room into this section right here. Too much. Cool. And let's bring down our snare plate as well. Not take up so much space in these fast punk beats. Let's bring down our snare sample too. Little tricky maneuver there, but I think we got it.
I'm drowning in hell. I'm drowning in hell, ain't it got me forever. The waves keep crashing up. The waves keep crashing forever. The waves keep crashing on me. Losing my faith, can't fight the grave of the undertow. Right now, can't fight the grave of the undertow. Can't fight the grave of the undertow. Can't fight the grave of the undertow.
the way, I love turning up fills that are signaling a transition into something like a chorus here. You'll notice how I'm making sure that snare is cutting through. And I really like these ghost notes too, so let's bring that up. Snare plate down again in this fast section. Snare overall maybe could come down. Sometimes on like a hard hitting sample where it's just like kind of relentless on a pattern like this, you mix the snare a little bit quieter, especially when it's kind of pounding that whole song, and we want the guitar solo to really be up front and not be just, we don't want to be distracted by the snare here, so that's why I kind of brought it down in this bridge. And let's make this feel a little more natural too. Okay, a little trick here. I'm going to bring down my parallel compression drum track here a lot for this quiet bridge and then build it back into the last chorus just to pull everything back, and then when it hits back in with everything full again, it's going to be that much more powerful. You can definitely get more room in this section. Yeah, that sounds a little too fake. Let's do a bit less. Maybe a bit more reverb at the very end there. Let the tide come and carry me. Let the tide come and carry. Let the tide come and carry me. Let the tide come. Snare sample's a bit off here too. Carry me, carry me, carry me, carry last kick needs to be a bit more powerful here. Too much? I don't know. Let's try again. So there's drum automation. Let's go on to guitar and bass. So the lead guitar drops out there. It's sounding like a little bit too quiet there, so we'll just bring up the rhythms. Wonder if we could bring up the lead guitar in the chorus. So see how I just let it peek out of the mix a little bit right when the chorus came in, just so it's a little bit of a signal like, hey, here's a new part. Then I tuck it back in so it's not fighting too much with the vocal. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, I should definitely bring the bass distortion up here. Sometimes doing a little bit of EQ automation here really helps. Let's automate the 1.5K boost here on the bass. That way we're bringing up the bass part as he's picking, you know, that kind of aggressive bass tone we want here in this section. If we just turn up the bass fader, we're going to get all like the extra low end, and then when we bring it back down for the verse, it's going to sound too small. So you can get around that with doing some EQ automation, either turning up the bass and then bringing down the EQ on the low end, or doing what I'm trying here with just bringing up the mid-range of the bass. Might turn up the bass track a little bit too, but that's already a lot better. Let's actually do it on the lower boost too, the 1K. Cool. Trying to make this part pop a little more when the guitars come in. Maybe we could bring the guitars down in the fade out actually, or in the ring. That's a little better. Too much. Wanted to emphasize this part since it's new from the first pre-chorus. down a bit.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home.
Let's make sure that slide really pops out.
Carry me home. Sinking below, come and carry me home. Sinking below, carry me home. Carry me home. Carry me home. Sinking below.
Let's get these clean guitars up a little bit.
Sinking below, sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. The tide come and carry me. The tide.
Just want that last bass note here to be quieter so that our big slide comes in big here.
Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below till my lungs
Cool.
and carry me home. And carry me
Awesome. Let's move on to vocals. Hopefully you're tracking with this so far. Really, it's just a matter of feeling out the song, bringing stuff in and out, up and down, just by subtle movements. But it's just, again, making it sound more natural. It's trying to pull the listener through the song. I'm trying to make every impact sound that much more exciting, every transition be that much more emphasized. Now as we move on to the vocals here, it's just all about making sure that every word is above the mix and can be heard and nothing's poking out too much or getting buried under the mix. So when I automate the vocals especially, I tend to actually look at this screen so that I'm not kind of, if you automate like this, there's a tendency to just follow the waveform, but we have so much compression and everything, this waveform doesn't really mean anything right now. So I want to fight against that by basically making myself not look at the waveform and just use my ears to make sure that every word is coming out all right. Harmony up a little bit. See how it's really like a syllable by syllable basis when it's like sinking. I need to bring it up. And then the B, it's like popping out too much. So watch the fader there. Really kind of getting more surgical here. Okay, let's start this course again and check the harmonies now. So see how the harmonies are kind of weak at the start and then louder at the end. So we'll try to compensate for that. Bring up the feedback on that throw delay. Let's get a little bit more of that. To the start of this verse and do harmonies. I'm drowning in hell and gasping for air. The waves keep crashing on me. Losing my faith, just like the grave of the undertow. I never held back. I never undertow. I never held back when the current swept me in. Chase the conditions of my life from struggling. Every day. Awesome. Harmonies for this course. do some low end automation here. Sounds like we got more proximity effect here, so we're just like, it's just sounding like it's popping out too much on this quiet vocal here. So I'm bringing down at 200 hertz here. This is what I'm automating here, bringing down that low shelf. Much better. Now I think I'm going to try quarter note delay in the chorus and probably right there, but I'm going to save that and just automate that after. Let's keep going with volume here. Okay, let's get this last chorus harmonies. Almost don't like it right in that last line there. Maybe the backups too. Yeah, I really am not a huge fan of these backups. I'm going to bring them down even more. This is kind of a producer decision. I guess it falls into mixing too in this case, but these backup, these ahs, I mean, they're cool on their own, but I don't know, especially he's changing the lyrics here for the first time in the song. I want that to be heard, and I found these super distracting, so I'm just kind of burying them in here. that sounded pretty good. I wanted to check out this echo again. Awesome. Now I want to try a quarter note delay on the courses. So let's check this out. Let's turn off the automation so I don't write stuff by accident while I'm trying. So my vocal delay send is going to this return here, H delay, quarter note with high pass, low pass filters to make it a little lo-fi on the actual echoes. Decent amount of feedback. Let's check it out.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Sinking below till my lungs go.
So this might be cool just in the courses. Let's check it out in the context of the mix.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Sinking below sinking below till my lungs go.
Yeah, I think that's sounding pretty good. It's just adding a little bit more depth kind of in the in-between places between the lines here. So let me make sure I automate the mute of that send. So let's have it muted everywhere except for the chorus. Cool, I like that. Let's do it for the other courses as well. Maybe in the bridge here.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Sinking below till my lungs. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me, carry me.
Maybe here.
Let the tide come and carry me, carry me. Let the tide come.
Yeah, let's keep it there. We might just have to bring the level down a bit on that part.
Let the tide come and carry me, carry me.
Cool. I'm liking that. And then this should probably go for the rest of the song too. This is a little hot right here. Now the fade out I also wanted to fix up a little bit. It's just dropping it a little too fast there. Like for, my fade outs, usually it starts a bit more gradual and then kind of, you'd see it goes steeper here. Just want to check this bridge again.
Sinking below till my lungs go.
Let me see if we cut out some of the high end on this as well, so it's not quite so breathy.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Sinking below till my lungs go.
Yeah, I think I like that.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me.
I need less low end too.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me.
bridge, I'm actually going to add some snare reverb to the toms just to make them a little bit more roomy. They're just kind of dry here. Especially at the end, it's just like a little bit dead compared to, you know, just what you would expect in a part like that. So first, let's bring this up. Okay, let's just see what our volume is like here. Yeah, probably have to have it pretty hot there.
Let the tide come and carry me home.
Believe it or not, I'm actually going to bypass the gate right on this last hit because it's just dying too fast.
Come and carry me
So I know I'm getting pretty in the weeds here, but hey, this is what doing your best on a mix is about, right?
Let the tide come and carry me
And this kind of automation stuff is really, I think, what separates kind of good mixers from just average, because, you know, you have to be willing to go the extra mile on this stuff. So I didn't have my automation writing enabled there. There we go.
carry me. Let the tide come and carry me
So now our toms are ringing out more. I wonder if we could benefit from this whole thing being back, actually. Let's see. Yeah, probably. Let's check in context of the mix and see if it's not too much low end here.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home.
Man, I think that really helped a lot, actually. Make that part not sound quite so dead. All right, that's basically the mix. So from at this point, take a quick 5-minute break for my ears, come back, listen through to the entire song with the screen off. I'm not going to bore you by just having a full playback with a blank screen here, but that's what I'm going to do here. Listen to it, see if there's anything I want to tweak, and then after that, it's the car test, any final tweaks after that, and then we're wrapping it up. So this mix came together pretty quick here. Oops, psych. Did not deal with the intro section here. Let's check out the rough. Since we're already kind of committed here, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do, but let's try this out. This is how I do the sweep. You know what? I might just even make a bolder move here and just go. That's a pretty good start to the song. Not sure what the band will think. Yeah, I don't know. That's if I was producing this record, I would probably just cut that entire intro. And maybe if we just print this snare. Stay with me here, guys. do a reverse. Oops, gonna bring this up to another track. Where can it go? Right there. Little snare reverse there. So let's unmute that. Heal. Let's have a really quick swell in. Too long. Let's try this guy. Even shorter. Yeah, that's more what I had in mind. Let's try shorter. Not sure. Yeah. Cool. Now I think our crash coming right off the top needs to be a little bit louder here. Again, attention to detail, guys. Just go the extra mile on your mixes like this. I don't know. Okay, I think that's better. All right, gonna give a listen through now. All right, so just did my final listen through with, well, I say final in quotes, but I just did a listen through of the entire song, start to finish, without touching anything, sitting back, just taking it all in, volume up a little bit. I'm wondering if the vocals are a tiny bit hot, but I'm going to wait till the car test to adjust that, because usually when I'm mixing with low volume, like I was doing all the automation, monitoring very quietly, tend to bring the vocals up a little bit to hear them, and then when we listen a bit louder, sometimes they seem a bit loud, but getting out of the studio, they're actually right in the sweet spot. So aside from that, though, a couple things, some simple changes. The bass, I thought would be cool to just bring up the little riff he adds in the outro. Another one there. Awesome. And the other thing that was bugging me a little bit was just in the turnaround here, just the brightness of the drums. Maybe just the snare. I'm going to try to automate this. Yeah, to me, that's better. Like, that's just, again, the top end boost on that snare. Listen. It was just like, I don't know, too much in this section. I think it's a lot better now, and it kind of just brings the energy back a little bit. Cool, I might do that in the bridge as well.
Sinking below, till my lungs go. Sinking below, till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below, till my lungs go. Let the
Like those ghost notes there that I just noticed.
my lungs go. My lungs go, my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home, sinking below till my.
Maybe a little more verb here.
Let the tide come and carry.
Overall, actually.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below till my.
These feel a little bit too loud.
Carry me home. Carry me home. Carry me home. Carry me home.
Cool, so I'm going to bounce out a reference mix now, which basically means this is something that I would send to the band. This is what I'm going to take to the car. So I'm going to save my settings here, copy them over to setting B in my FGX, and I'm just going to push it so it's a little bit closer to what a normal mastered record would be, just because that's how I listen to stuff in the car outside of the studio. I'm listening to mastered records, right? So I want to get that accurate representation. Obviously, the finished master is going to be a little bit better, but this at least gives me the same vibe in terms of the transients being squashed and the limiting and a little bit of clipping that happens. I don't have to max it out, but around -10 is fine. And then when I go to send the actual the final mix to the mastering engineer, I'll go back to my A settings here where it's just a bit more headroom. I know that he can do a better job of loudness than I can. This is just for my own reference and for sending to the band as well. So let's print this. Even though I could bounce this offline, I like giving one final listen through like this.
I've given until I've been broken again. I'm holding out for something, finding my place. You expect me to fall in line. A vision in my head before this began. It's all came out to nothing. Losing my grip is coming disaster and just in time. 'Cause every day it only gets worse. Waiting for letdown to bring me its curse. With the never-ending journey that you have to work
All right, final print is done. We're going to bounce this out or export this as MP3, load it up in the car, and I'll come back if there's any changes here and do a final wrap up on this mix. I think it turned out pretty well. We'll see how it translates. And it's a little bit crunchy almost. I don't know how else to describe it. I think it's the vocals, but I think, like I was saying, a lot of that is probably to do with just the quality of the actual source tracks, the way it was recorded, and all the editing that was done tuning wise. It's just the artifacts with all the mixing and enhancement I've done. It also brings up kind of the bad stuff. So, this is a typical real world level of recording though for like kind of a mid-level band. Clearly wasn't recorded in like a world-class studio. It was probably, well, I know for a fact it was in like someone's kind of basement studio. They still did a great job, but it has kind of that crunchiness, and I can only explain that as just like kind of the low level distortion from kind of more budget gear mixed with room ambience that's maybe not the best, and all the stuff put together, and it just kind of gets blown up a little bit in an exciting mix like this. But this is aggressive music, so I mean, I think it still works, and I don't think we're going to notice that as much outside of the studio. But anyways, I'm going to go check out this mix in the car and come back with any final changes, and then we'll be good to go. All right, so I had a chance to listen on some other speakers, and particularly in my car, and I'm pretty happy with this mix. I think there are a couple things we can tweak still. One of which being the low end. I feel like the kick is a little bit, I don't know if there's too much sub or too much just kind of woofiness. I'm going to try to dial that back just a tiny bit here. Okay, didn't want to change it a ton, just wanted to clean it up a tiny bit there. I think that sounded a bit better. I was wondering if the bass had a similar problem, but I don't know. I think maybe it was just the kick and the bass combined. So now that we've dialed back the kick a touch, it might be okay. I'm just going to throw on my headphones to hear the sub. Okay, the other thing I heard in the low end was the toms. They're too boomy, too much low end happening, especially on the floor tom. You can even see it in the waveform, like just the buildup that comes after the hit. See if we can clean that up a bit. That should help. You might want to tighten up the gate a little bit on the floor tom here. Still be pushing a little too much sub on that kick drum. I really like the solid mid-range we have in this mix, but it's almost a little bit, it's on the edge of being kind of over-aggressive, so that's why I'm trying to suck out a little bit in the mid-range here on 2.5K on the overheads, just because they are so solid. They're not as transient as like a live drum kit. You can definitely hear the difference in the toms here. Listen to the floor tom. This is the mix I just had earlier today. And now. Let's just make sure our fills are still coming through okay. Cool. And I honestly just want to get rid of all of these reverse cymbals here. Yeah, it's better without it. Maybe if we back off a tiny bit on the saturation, as much as I like it here. When this is green, that means it's monitoring the input, which means this is the mix I'm currently have up. And when I switch that off, that's the old mix. I'm just kind of A-Bing what I had before and what I have now. I like it. Sounds cleaner. Just even with mostly the kick is what I hear the most. It just sounds like it was just pushing too hard in the low mids there, and now it's just kind of opened up a little bit. There's a little more space. It doesn't sound so pushed up against your face the whole time.
I'm driving and hailing a gas forever.
lead guitar could come up in the whole song. Let's see.
'Cause every day it only gets worse. Waiting for letdown to bring me its curse. With the never-ending journey that you have to walk through first to know. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home.
You know what? Since I had these on my old templates, I did fix the rack tom. I just noticed this is going to help my floor tom punch a little bit more. Slow attack, please, not fast. This is the difference. More attack, less emphasis on the decay there. Rack tom still sound a bit muddy.
Grab is coming to stop with the never-ending first to know. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Let the tide come and carry me I'm drowning and hailing and gasping for air. Just like the grave of the undertow. I never seen this curse. It's a never to know.
Of course, now it's a little bit brighter, so we're just bringing it down a bit.
Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below till my lungs go. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. Sinking below till my lungs go. Let the tide come and carry me home. When the wind blows, I hope you know.
All right, I think I'm happy to print this version 2 of the mix. And I think that'll be it. Send it to the band, since it was a member of the band who sent me this song. See if there's any notes on that. And if not, this will be going off to mastering. I'm going to print one more reference, and then to the final mix, like I said, we'll print down at this lower level.
I've given until I've been broken again. Like holding.
Okay, jumping back on the video here, because I sent the mix to one of the band members, and he just sent a note back that he was wondering about a slight arrangement change to make the second chorus hit harder. So remember this transition.
Ending journey that you have to walk through first to know. Sinking below.
So he's saying to cut it right on the words first to know,
Have to walk through first to know.
cut the rhythm guitar and bass. So I've been messing around with that.
Have to walk through first to know.
It's not bad. It's a little abrupt, but I think I've got an idea to really kind of make the abruptness, I don't know what the word is, just make this part really stand out even more by adding some effects here. So let's cut out those 2 bars, or the 1 bar there. And I'm going to try like a left to right pan effect on the lead guitar. Might have to go a bit faster. If we're going to do that, we definitely need some sort of like flanger or something on there. Yeah, something like that. So let's have this bypassed except for right this section here. And let's also maybe do a little bit of a telephone effect on that. Okay, let's see how that sounds. And we just got to do a little bit of a better cut here. Jeez, I'm not used to the new Pro Tools way it operates now. Gosh, there we go. And in this case, I'm wondering if the reverse cymbal might help. Okay, let's just make this punch a little bit more when we come back in. Wonder if we can go a little more extreme here. There we go. Just gonna listen from further back here for context. Cool, it just sounds a little bit loud here. Actually, let's just do it here. I think we're gonna cut a little bit more high end too. Maybe a bit much on that crash, but we're getting close. That's pretty good. Let's just pump this up a little more on the crash. Too much. it by hand.
You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know.
Cool. So I think that idea turned out well.
Waiting for letdown, embracing this curse. It's a never-ending journey that you have to walk through first to know. Through first to know. Through first to know. Through first to know.
Why is this plugin not kicking on anymore? There we go.
You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know.
Oh yeah, we totally gotta automate that too.
You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know.
I could do it better. The mouse.
You have to walk through first to know. Through first to through first to know. Through first to know. Through first to know. Through first to know. Through first to know.
Let's see if we do the same thing on the low band. This might be too much, but let's try it out.
Through first to know. To walk through first to know. Let down, embracing this curse. It's a never-ending journey that you have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know.
I don't like the clicking I'm getting, turning on and off. Nice.
It's a never-ending journey that you have to walk through first to know. First to know. Through first to know. Through first to know. Through first to know.
Wonder if we get it to land on the right side a little sooner.
Through first to know.
Yeah.
Journey that you have to walk through first to know.
Seems like when we back off a bit, we don't get that pop from the plugin coming on.
Waiting for letdown, embracing this curse. It's a never-ending journey that you have to walk through first to know.
Yeah, that's good. All right, now the beauty of printing the mix like this is I don't have to bounce it all again. Of course, I could do the offline bounce, but I like doing the punch in.
My life from struggling. 'Cause every day it only gets worse. Waiting for letdown, embracing this curse. It's a never-ending journey that you have to walk through first to know.
We got the pop on that one. Okay, so if the plugin's not going to cooperate with us there, we're just going to have to duplicate this. Put it on its own track, unfortunately. That way we won't risk any sounds we don't want here.
You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know.
Still listen to the old one. There you go.
You have to walk through first to know. You have to walk through first to know.
What is happening there?
You have to walk
reason on this, when it's snapping back here, it's giving me that pop. There we go.
First to know.
Quirky plugin.
First to know. First to know.
All right, now we should be safe there. Let's get rid of this automation, this track though. Actually, nope, we need to copy this down. Oh, no, we already had it, never mind. All right, let's punch that again. Think we got it? Let's just double check the edit here. Cool, and we don't have to crossfade that because it's the exact same audio. So let's just consolidate, rename, version 3. There we go. Export this for the band, and we're good to go. So guys, that is the mix. That was the last move I made in the mix. Printed that off for the band, got approval, printed it off for mastering, and that was it. That was the mix. So if you've seen this entire series up till now, I want to congratulate you, and I really want to also honor that commitment to your craft. I know this is harder. I know this takes commitment. It's a lot harder to carve out like 5, actually closer to 6 hours that you guys have this week to dive into an entire mix process instead of just getting your normal quick hit of 10-minute mixing tutorials. It's harder to do this. I know that. And that's why I honor your commitment and your time investment and your energy investment here today and over the past 3 days. But the fact that it's hard, I want to remind you and encourage you that the fact that it's hard is a good thing, because everyone here watching this, you guys have an advantage. Because 90% of people out there will not do this. They won't do this. They'll continue to search for trick after hack, all the while they will not invest the time or the money to actually go deep and transform their thinking as an engineer. And so they actually end up, in the long run, spending 10 times longer logging hours on those little short tutorials instead of actually getting that transformation at a deep level and immersing themselves so that they can forever ignore the hacks and get to work and just mix. So, if you like what you've seen so far, if you have benefited from watching me mix this entire song for you in real time, and if you can already feel like the impact that it's starting to have as it soaks in and becomes part of your thinking, part of your acting, and if you're one of those people whose commitment and passion stands above the crowd, stands above that 90%, and you have a willingness to stop the endless search for hacks and magic fixes and new plugins that supposedly will solve everything, well, if that's you, I have an opportunity for you to go even deeper with this. So you just saw me mix one entire song from start to finish. I want to let you guys do this again 3 more times with 3 different songs, different genres, different source material, different scenarios, and that's going to be extending your mentorship opportunity, and whatever transformation and benefit you got from this free stream series is going to be multiplied by not 3x, but 5 or 10 times by going through the additional 3 tracks. Why do I say 5 to 10x instead of 3x? Well, just like in real world mentorships, you're going to see this thinking and problem solving and creative process in action across these different genres, different source tracks, different scenarios, and all of that together will just combine and marinate in your mind and become something greater. The sum is greater than the parts, right? And the result of that is just going to utterly transform your thinking as an engineer. And that's how I learned. That's how I broke through the barriers from amateur to pro, got to work with major bands and labels worldwide. It's how it's always been done. So here's the deal. I'm going to be accepting members into this program starting Monday. Now, in order to get into this program, you must be on the email list. So if you haven't signed up to download the multi-tracks yet, click the link below in the description, get the multi-tracks. If you've already signed up for the multi-tracks and you've been to that Stream HQ page, then you should be good to go. But if not, make sure you're signed up because you're going to need to watch your inbox Monday morning. That's the only way I'm sending this out. It's the only way I'm sending out the link to join the program, all right? And it's going to be a short window of time for enrollment. So that's what's coming up, guys. Until then, I'm leaving these stream recordings up here for another 48 hours only. So clock's ticking. Saturday night, they will be taken down for good, put back into the program that you'll have a chance to join next week. So if you want to catch up and get this entire mix stream for free, I know a lot of you guys have joined me for every session this week, which is incredible. You guys are awesome. Those of you who have missed some, definitely catch up before the end of Saturday night. This is action time to get caught up before these get taken down. So if you're ready to dive deeper with me, stay tuned. I'll give you all the details about the full Mix Mentor program on Monday. So with that said, this was a pretty long stream. Again, I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes, take your questions like we have been. Again, just hit or type a Q and then your question, and we'll see what we got here. And I appreciate you guys dropping your mix bombs and your big insights and takeaways as this stream was happening. I thought that this was going to be really a huge mindset shift for a lot of you, and it seems like it has been. All right, so thank you very much for being here. This has been awesome. Let's hit some questions here. Mario, how many actual hours did this mix take? Well, you saw it in real time, right? The first stream, I think, was, the mix portion of it was like an hour and 20 minutes. The next one was, and these two were just under 2 hours. So, I mean, we're looking at less than 6 hours to get this mix done, start to finish. Isaac potentially would share the Pro Tools sessions inside the program I'm announcing next week. The thing is like, I know a lot of you guys are using different DAWs, so it's like, I don't know, it would only be a portion of people who would actually benefit from that, only Pro Tools users, so I'm not quite sure about that. Depends on the demand. Rukshan says, I have exchanged 3 days of sleep to see this opportunity to learn and possibly be a different mixer after these vids. Not possibly. Definitely. Definitely. And I think that all of you guys will feel the impacts of this over time, because you're gonna notice things that come up for you in the next mix you do. But then like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, there'll be another mix. It's maybe slightly different scenarios. And you'd be like, oh yeah, there was that thing. And you're just going to find that you're making decisions differently from having immersed yourself into this. That's why it's so powerful learning like this. Samuel, will we get your drum and kick samples with this enrollment? Yes, there will be an opportunity to grab those as well, my friend. What would you say about using T-Rex Clipper with a slight soft knee to get the final level for reference? -9 versus a Slate FG. Wondering if that's what you did before. Yeah, I mean, whatever works. You could definitely try that. I've never tried it in that case. I've used that plugin for clipping drums in the past, but never on the final mix, so I can't really say. But the Slate FG is great. I mean, the whole Slate Everything bundle, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, you see me use Mostly Waves plugins. Those are what I started on. I still love all of them. I'm happy with them. They sound great. I can work fast with them. It's like an extension of me at this point, so I don't like introducing new plugins. But the Slate stuff at whatever, $15 a month for like all of their plugins, like it's worth it for just, I would pay that just for Trigger or just for the FG plugin. So it's definitely worthwhile. Mario's asking, why didn't I use reverb on the whole tom tracks? I didn't think it needed it. They were getting fed to my artificial room reverb, and that's usually enough. Like for toms, you usually don't need that reverb. I don't like to hear, I don't know, I have this thing where I don't like to hear the reverb. I like it to be there to do what it needs to do to provide the ambience and kind of sit things in the mix for drums and whatnot. But I find with toms, I can hear the artificial reverb often, and so I just don't use it. I try to do other things instead, use room tracks. In this case, it had to be a fake room track. Okay, Carlos Perez, would you do some mastering tutorials? No. No, the reason is because I don't do mastering. I don't master my own mixes. And many years ago, I would try to do that, and I felt like I always ruined my mixes when I tried to master them. I'm just not a mastering guy. I'm a mixer. I think it's a different mindset. It's a different skill set for sure, even a different set of gear. I don't know. I just like mixing, and I like handing it off to someone who is just badass at mastering, who is Troy Glessner for me. He's mastered all my stuff for many years. He's done bands like August Burns Red, Under Oath. The cool thing I will tell you about the program I just mentioned, every one of these songs, including this one, got sent to Troy for mastering, and I asked him to provide his mastering chain and notes along with it. So if you want to go further, go deeper with me on those additional sessions, you'll get those mastering notes. You'll be able to compare the final master to the final mix, which is pretty cool as well. Okay, Julian's asking, when you deliver the final mix to the mastering engineer, do you deliver the mix with all the processes on the master bus? Do you consider some level of volume? Yeah, so I might have just said it too quickly in the stream there, but basically, yeah, I leave. I mean, there's not much on the mix bus. It's just that CLA plugin, which is essentially some compression and saturation. On a lot of my mixes, it's just the SSL bus comp, and then the FG, which is just doing some loudness. So yeah, you saw me printed out for reference for the band there, a little bit hotter, still not as hot as a final master would be. I think it was like around -11, -12 RMS. And then when I go to send it to Troy to send it for mastering, I back it off a little bit more even to give him just a little bit more room to work with. So I'll back it off like to maybe -14 ish to send to mastering. Okay. If you had access to the drum programming instead of the automating the drum hits like you did, would you rather adjust the velocity in the program and print the drums again? That makes much logical sense. I wouldn't do that. And to be honest, I don't even accept MIDI drums to mix. If someone has programmed drums on their track and they want me to mix it, it's basically one of my requirements that they must send it as audio files. I don't like dealing with MIDI. It's too tedious. I don't like dealing with that stuff. And I think it's the engineer and the producer's role. Okay. Like, don't send your stuff to a mixer and ask them to like invent the entire mix with like drum MIDI. To me, that's not my job as a mixer. And even if I was engineering and producing a record with programmed drums, it's not my expertise. So I would usually in that case, someone in the band is great at it. They program the drums. Yeah, sure, I might tweak a few things, and then I get it printed down to audio as soon as possible, because that's my sweet spot. That's how I like to work. So, yeah, in the answer to your question, if they sent me just drum MIDI, I would send it back and say, please print these down to audio. That's just me. Martin, I felt the CLA mixdown you had on the 2-bus added a lot. What are its most important characteristics, and are there free plugins that can serve the same? Free plugins? I don't know. So basically, it's interesting because that CLA mixdown plugin, I'm still kind of undecided on it. You saw me use it in this mix, and it sounds good. I like the compression. It's like basically the SSL bus compression, which is what I normally use and what I have used for like 8 years is the SSL bus compressor in that spot. I like that this CLA plugin adds a little bit of EQ control, and it just kind of adds a little bit of more energy with saturation. However, I found that it can get too aggressive. Like I think this mix, it works for like the aggressive kind of pop punk style that it is. I've done other mixes where I've used that plugin and it's like, I end up having to keep dialing it back because it's like it just makes the mix a little bit too crunchy for me. So I wouldn't even say that that's a must. I've kind of gone back and forth using it on some mixes and some not. I finding more if I want it to have that little bit of extra edge on the mix, I'll do that. Otherwise, I go to my tried and true SSL bus comp there. So any SSL bus compressor emulation plugin would be great there, and you see me use a lot of that on mixes still today. Philip, are you going to visit Italy? Dude, I've been to Italy a couple times. We love it there. I was in Venice 2 years ago, and we also love it in Rome, and we checked out some of the other cities on the West Coast. I will definitely be back to Italy. Love it there. What headphones are you using? Here they are. Audio-Technica ATH-M 50. Nothing special. I'm not saying that I advocate them. These are like the first studio headphones I bought many years ago, and I've just stuck with them. Any headphones that, extend well into the sub-range, they're good. That's how I check my low end. Okay, guys, this has been incredible. Once again, let me just ask you guys, you've seen me mix this one entire song. How much more impact do you think it would have on your work if you got to watch me mix 3 more songs, different genres, different scenarios, different source tracks, real drums, different amps, different tones, completely different arrangements, heavier stuff, softer stuff? What do you think that would do for your mixes? Definitely got a huge delay here. Fort Beat says, yes, please. Marcus, a lot for sure. Boing, boing. Life-changing. Yeah. Samuel says, a lot. I am keen to enroll. Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited. This has been awesome, guys. I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for being here, especially my hardcore crew that has stuck with me and actually come live. I'm stoked on everyone who checked the replays out, but you guys who sacrificed sleep, took time off work to come here and do this live, man, I'm excited for you because your commitment level is way up here, and that means you got bright things ahead for your career. All right. What other comments we got? Rukshan says, I would do it a lot. I would die of sleep deprivation. Well, it wouldn't have to be all live again at a specific time in that case, so you'll be good to go, man. Lewis says it would be a huge change. Boa says this will be worth it. It would be the difference to my mixing. It would be incredible. It would be having the mentorship I never found. All right, good. I'm glad you guys are in. I'm excited to open this up and share all the details with you. Again, make sure you're signed up on the email list because these videos come down Saturday night. And if you're not on my email list, you're not going to see the email with details about this program and how to get in. So again, I honor you guys' commitment, your time, your energy that you've invested into this. I know it's already paying off. I can see your comments, and I know it's going to continue paying off well into the future. And I am excited to serve you at a deeper, higher level starting next week. All right. So keep it on your inbox. I'll be hitting it up Monday morning with details and a special enrollment link just for you guys. All right. So thanks for being with me here. Take care. Talk to you later.